Good afternoon, fellow learners, and welcome to another video of QOTD programming. And today we'll be analyzing Bruno-Simons Portfolio from the 2019 version. And today I'll be briefly going through the format and the general idea of how to break down his entire program, because since it's a really big file, we have to go through it step by step. And I guess that's what I'm going to do for today. And let's just quickly open the file. So of course we have to understand how Bruno-Simons organizes his files. So of course, okay, you can see the original file here. That's the file I got from his GitHub page. You can get it too. Put the link in the description. And we can see there's three main folders: the node modules, the resources, and the source folder, and the static, of course. And then we have some of the package JSON, log JSON, all those customized files. And okay, so the node modules is where all the modules are, the add-ons, whatever, your plugins, and the resources are where you put the actual models, your textures, all that. And the source is where he had all his files, logics, and where you put the JavaScript files in. And the static is a little bit more of resources, but then is more of a untouchable one, so you want it to be limited on who can access it. Okay, then we have a git-ignore. You can ignore that because it's called ignore. And license empty, that's for, well, it's like a notif for what you can do with this source. And then there's a package lock.json, which you don't have to worry about. And then there's package JSON. You can see we got canon.gui, gsap-holder, and the 3 plugin. And then you have a readme, which is, you can read it if you want to, is in the Bruno-Simons original files. And there's a vite config JSON. You can see we got a glsl plugin, and then a restart plugin. And then we have a host and the open sandbox as a process env. And we have a source and static as the main one. And you can change that if you want, but then you have to change the folder name as well. Okay, so let's break through the files. Of course, we're going to start with the main HTML file. And okay, you can see from this page, I'm going to just quickly close this tab because it's unnecessary and redundant. So we see there's a lot of imports, but you can ignore that for now because it's mainly just icons. And then we have a bunch of class names, which is for the 3JS journey. Okay, let me launch the actual web for you so you can get an idea of what's going on. Bruno-Simons.com. And then after it loads, which is going to take some time because my Wi-Fi isn't as fast as you expect it to be. And let's start. And then when you move around the page, you actually get a little pop-up section on the bottom right corner of your screen. But it's not showing up because I did not spend as long time. Oh yes, here it is. You see, that little section pops up after some time, and it tells you to go to 3JS learning journey, which you should. It's a really good web. I bought it. It's a really nice journey. And we're just gonna close that for now because we don't need it anymore. And then we can see the source file is index.js, which is here. And you can see we have our main application class here, and it's an OOP, of course. And then we have the JS canvas as the main selector. Let's just go to the, sorry, my bad. Go to the CSS. Sorry, not this CSS, the index.css. And then you can probably tell that the media, oh yes. There's a little button and an H1 and a root. Not much going on, but more than enough. And then we can go to the application.js and a whole lot more stuff here. We have our main application folder, and you can see we have size, time, world, resource, camera, and 3JS journey. I'm going to go briefly through what they are about because we're not going to dive deep into source code today. So the 3JS journey is what controls the pop-up section. I guess he made an independent section for that because it's quite important on its own. And then we have a camera section, because we're using a perspective camera here. So it's quite important that we manage the controls properly. And we have resources, which is where all the imports and the resource loaders are, your texture and your, I think he uses a GLTF model. Yes, GLTF and a little Draco decoder. And then the world is where all your, physical graphics go. Your car, your hitbox, your areas, all that. And then time is how he manages time. I think he just put it into his event emitter. And then he has sizes, which I think controls the size of the screen. I think that manages the resize of the screen. If you don't manage properly, then it's going to stay the same size, which is not what we want. And okay, so that's a little bit of the overall structure of the file. And then we can see there's geometries here, and then there's materials here, and there's passes, and there's utils, and there's world. And the world, okay, I'm gonna go through them one by one. World is where all the tangible logics are located. That's where you see all your geometries and your 3D models, interaction, and logics. And then utils is a really nice thing I like about Bruno is he kind of reformats the logic of his files. For instance, here you can see he makes a callback collection, which is the event emitter, and you can put them together and then call them at the same time, which is something I love about his code. And then passes is, well, you can tell it's passes. It's glow and your shaders. And then materials are the shaders and materials. Yeah, I think so. And then geometry is just the geometry. And then we have a little bit more detail into shaders here. So that's all the matcap shadow. So as you can probably tell here, let me just launch his website again. And then you can tell the floor is made up of 4 different components, and then they are linearly filtered together. And you can tell the car has got shadows, it's moving, it's mobile. And then there's more trees and areas around the vicinity. Well, that's to be talked later on, but let's continue. I guess that's all. And then for now, all you have to worry about is the source code, the JavaScript, which is really atrocious, to be honest. And I guess that's all for today, and hope you catch up with the next video where I'll go deep into application.js and specifically the index.js of the world component.